India, and why you should even care. First, the definition of globalization. The long technical definition of globalization is the process of interaction and integration among the people, companies, and governments of different nations, a process driven by international trade and investment and aided by information technology. Basically, due to reduced trade barriers and advancements in technology, we now engage with each other easier and faster. So what about India? India and China are often cited as the superstars of globalization. They have gone from developing and struggling nations to two of the most successful economies in the world. But is India really better off because of globalization? People often glorify India's economic success but overlook their social failures. Like I said before, India has grown. After opening their borders to globalization, India's growth rate doubled from 3% to 7%. Many more Indians have jobs and employment opportunities, and India's poverty, hunger, and infant mortality rates have all gone down. Even women, a largely marginalized group in India, now have more basic rights and access to higher education, therefore leading to stronger employment opportunities. While these benefits are great for India, they have only really been evident in the urban areas, while the rural areas, 65% of the population, don't seem to be benefiting. Poverty is still India's largest problem. 450 million Indians live on less than $1 a day. 40 million are homeless, and about 50% of the population live without electricity. Out of the total world's poor population, 1/3 of them reside in India. While women's rights have seen some improvement, Indian women still suffer. A major problem is gender inequality. There are approximately 940 women for every 1,000 men. This creates a huge cultural problem. Due to the lack of women in society, men begin treating women as a resource to be traded or bought. Men act more competitive and aggressive when it comes to their relationships with women. Because of these violent tendencies, women are abused and assaulted without hopes of a fair trial. Most women don't have access to higher education or well-paying jobs, and many are fed or cared for last because they are female. The worst part about the gender inequality is that it doesn't show signs of getting better due to the strong acceptance of gendercide in Indian culture. Gendercide is the genocide of a specific gender group, in India's case, females. In India, many women are encouraged or forced to abort their babies because they are female. Girls are seen as an economic burden, and boys are thought to bring stability and security. Because of this issue, there are approximately 50 million girls missing from India's population today. It's hard to rave about how globalization has transformed India into a thriving world economy when it still struggles to maintain poverty levels, inequality issues, and basic human rights. Globalization has caused India to grow, but that does not mean that India is developed. Growth is a step towards development, and India needs something more than globalization to thrive. What that something more is hard to determine. The Indian government is working hard to fix these problems and still welcome the growth that globalization brings. Is globalization being done in a way that helps India, and can it be done differently? Should international companies play a role in mitigating these problems, and how much of a role should they play? These questions and more need to be answered.